What is up, guys? Londrick here, and now I'm back with another edition of Londrick's Fave Fives. Now the Royal Rumble's just 1 week away, so what Royal Rumble related video can I do, considering I did 3 big ones last year? Well, I got an idea of someone, and it was a damn good idea, and this one's going to be Fave 5 Royal Rumble Surprise Entrance. Definitely over the last several years, one of the coolest thing about the Royal Rumble is the surprise entrance. Sometimes you get a returning legend, someone returning from injury, that sort of thing, and it's always cool to get a surprise person coming into the Royal Rumble. It just always makes it a lot more interesting, doesn't it, really? Now, in the early days of the Royal Rumble, this wasn't really a thing. Usually all 30 participants were announced in advance, and then sometimes you get the odd one here and there, and then into the 2000s you started getting a little bit more. And this didn't really become a thing till about the late 2000s, where the expectation was every year you get some surprise entrances. And like the last few years, of course, obviously it's gotten even bigger. And especially now you've got 2 Royal Rumbles, a men and a women's Royal Rumble. The element of surprise has increased greatly because now you get some odd women in there as well. So basically, just to break it down, to make it a little bit obvious, what I mean by a surprise entrance is someone that wasn't announced in advance on the Royal Rumble card, and then they came in. So, I'll give you an example of what I mean. Hypothetically, if I picked Edge in 2010, he would count as a surprise entrance technically, although in reality, the majority of us expected it to happen. So that would actually count as a surprise. Similarly, AJ Styles, he wasn't announced for the Royal Rumble, but online rumours were spreading for weeks that he was going to be there. So technically, it wasn't a big surprise, but it was in the sense that WWE didn't advertise him beforehand, if that makes sense. And just one more thing I need to mention before I start. There's an incorrect myth going around on the internet over the last couple of years, 2 or 3 years, that in 2002, Mr. Perfect, Goldust, The Godfather, and Val Venus wrongly made out to be surprise entrances. No, they weren't. That's wrong. In fact, all 4 were advertised the Royal Rumble for at least a week, maybe a little bit longer. Now, enough people on IWC, YWC's got that wrong over the last few years. That I just had to mention that one. There were not surprise entrances. So, with that being said, let's get the actual list. Coming in number 5, we go to 2011, and it's Big Daddy Cool Diesel. Now, the 2011 Royal Rumble is probably one of the most interesting Royal Rumbles in history. So, the very first Royal Rumble, of course, in 1988, was a 20-man Royal Rumble. And then 1989 comes around, that's extended to 30. And for the next 2+ decades, that's the formula. 30-man Royal Rumble, and it never strayed until 2011. Then WWE decided to do this experiment to make a 40-man Royal Rumble. And of course, that was a one-off. And then later on in Saudi Arabia for the Greatest Rumble, that was a 50-man Royal Rumble. For me, the 40-man Royal Rumble, it was alright as an experiment. For me, it didn't make the match worse, but it didn't really make it much more exciting either, to be honest. And I am glad they never did it again, but I think it was worth a try. Maybe the wrong era to do it, to be honest. Maybe they could have done it in like the early 2000s when there was a much bigger roster and all that, or even a hotter period, or they could have even done it way back in like the very early 90s or something like that. But anyway, it was fine. It was what it was. And for one of these things, obviously, with not a huge roster at the time, definitely a bigger roster than what they've got now, but not a huge roster at the time. They definitely needed some surprise entrances in this one. And we got 2 cool ones. And the other one nearly made the list, and that was Booker T. And the other one was Kevin Nash. But not just Kevin Nash, Big Daddy Cool Diesel. So this is the one that was being rumored online for a little bit going into the show. If I remember rightly, Nash was even a picture at the airport that day going to the Royal Rumble. And it's kind of a funny story coming out this. So Nash had left the WWE back in 2003, wrestled on and off for TNA for the next several years. And I guess he left the company around this time, maybe a little bit earlier, Booker T, Colossus and TNA as well. He left in about early 2010, maybe even 2009, not sure. Can't remember if he was around for the Hogan Bischoff days in the TNA or not. But he was definitely around in 2009, and Booker and Nash were in this group called the Main Event Mafia, which included Kurt Angle, Sting, Scott Steiner. I think Samoa Joe later joined that group. I think Taz was in there as well. And for me, it was just a rehash of the NWO, but we don't need to get into that. But the interesting story comes here. So this is around the time period that Bischoff and Hogan had been there for about a year. There was actually plans to reunite the Main Event Mafia. They were going to hire Sting, they were going to hire Nash back, and they were going to reform the Main Event Mafia in addition to Impact. But I think at this point Nash had given his word to WWE. He was going to sign a Legends deal. A Legends deal basically, WWE has the right to use your merchandise and your likeness of things such as DVDs, video games and stuff like that, action figures. Basically, get a nice chunk of money to not really do a whole lot. But having a Legends deal prevents you from working for a rival company, such as TNA back then, or I guess if they had one now, if you had a Legends deal, you probably couldn't work for AEW type thing. So Nash decided to take that, and there was all speculation he was going to come into this Royal Rumble. But I think a lot of people didn't expect him to come in as Diesel, so this is about number 32, I believe it was. The buzzer went, then the old Diesel horn hit. I'm like, oh, cool, this is awesome. Great pop from the crowd. He comes back in his Big Daddy Cool outfit. I mean, for me, that did it for me. I mean, if he just came back as Kevin Nash, I definitely wouldn't have cared as much, because Diesel's really a guy from my childhood. I mean, I always preferred Big Daddy Cool Diesel to Kevin Nash, to be honest with you. That's what I grew up on. And I remember back in the day, when he came back from his injury in 2003, I always wanted him to come back as Diesel then, but no, he used the Kevin Nash there, although he did change his music to something more Diesel-like, but so that was cool for me, because it had been 15 years at this point since we've seen Diesel in a WWE ring. His last WWE appearance was In Your House, Good Friends, Better Enemies against Shawn Michaels in April of 1996. So here we are, nearly 15 years later. Diesel comes into the Rumble. He got a great pop as well. Probably got pop that night, quite honestly. As much as I'm not a huge Kevin Nash guy, you got to give the Devil his due. He got a great pop that night. It was just kind of a cool nostalgia thing. He didn't do a lot. Admittedly, he wasn't in there all that long. Don't even think he got an elimination either. But it was kind of cool to see him back. To have one Royal Rumble appearance, and then he was eliminated by Sheamus. And then that was it. He disappeared again. Then he infamously came back at SummerSlam to take CM Punk down. And then, yeah, we don't need to get into that one, but whatever. But for me, yeah, I thought this was a really cool surprise one, and definitely makes my list. Coming at number 4, excuse me, we're going to go a decade prior to that, Royal Rumble 2001, and the Big Show's return to the company. Now, for me, this is a Royal Rumble that really started this trend of surprise entrances, because like I say, we'd had the odd one up until this point. Really, that was down to the WWF having a weaker roster in the mid-90s, so but they were usually crap as well. I remember 96. I was surprised entrances were as followed. Omori from New Japan, not All Japan, sorry. Doug Gilbert from the USWA. The Squat Team, aka the Headhunters. Then 97, we got Luchadors from AAA in there. And then after that, it was kind of went away for a couple of years. Bob Backlund showed up at Rumble 2000. Then 2001, we got 3 surprise entrances that year. 1, the Honky Tonk Man, which is cool as hell, by the way. Number 2, Haku, which is quite a surprise because he was a WCW Hardcore Champion at the time. And I was half tempted to put him in this list because of how surprising it was. But the one for me that made this was the Big Show making his return to the WWF. So backstory here. The Big Show's first couple of years at WWE are really a disappointment. So WWF hired Paul White in 1999 from WCW. massive things are expected of him. The expectation of this guy now, under the guidance of Vince McMahon, the guy who basically, Vince was a big man guy. Vince loved his big guys and promoting them. And obviously, his dad's also huge success promoting Andre the Giant over the years. The people thought Big Show was going to be like that, but it didn't happen. One of the big reasons is Big Show's really unprepared. So, Big Show had never been properly trained, really. I mean, he trained the power plant for a little bit, but WCW kind of just threw him to the wolves, basically. They basically fast-tracked him to the top there, brought him into the company, made him a huge star right off the bat. But he didn't really have the experience or the proper training to really carry the ball himself. Now, in WCW, he was able to get away with this a little bit, because WCW had so many veterans on the roster, like Hogan, Savage, Flair, Sting, Luger, Nash, Hall, those kind of guys. And those guys are kind of able to work with the Big Show and work around his inexperience, so he kind of got away with it. But then when you get the WWF, you're expected to carry a load a little bit more. And it was obvious that Big Show didn't really have the fundamentals and a lot of the right attitude as well. Because he was so young and fast tracked to the top of the business so young. Apparently, I think he's even admitted himself, he had a pretty much a bad attitude. He thought he was king shit and all that. And basically in WWF, he didn't really work out for him too well. And of course, I feel like over the years, WWF did an awful job of booking him as well. And then he started getting like weight problems, started putting on a lot of weight, not really applying himself and putting the effort into the gym to keep himself in great shape. And because of that, his attitude, his ring work not quite being up to snuff, and now his weight problems starting to become a problem. They kind of try to humble the Big Show. In the summer of 2000, they sent the Big Show down to Ohio Valley Wrestling. They essentially sent him back to developmental. Now, this was a guy that was on a nearly $1 million a year contract. This is a guy that was a former WWF and WCW champion at that point. Hell, this is a guy that main evented WrestleMania 2000. And now here he was in OVW with the instructions to improve his conditioning, basically lose weight and get more training, developmental, and try to become a better wrestler. So Big Show's off television for a while. There's always speculation when he's coming back. And then I remember this vividly, the SmackDown before Royal Rumble, Vince McMahon was in a limo, talking to a mystery man saying he was ready for the Royal Rumble now. Who was it going to be? I think I probably realised it was probably going to be Big Show, but I didn't know for sure. And here we are, the Royal Rumble match is going on, and obviously this is one of the great Royal Rumble matches of all time. Then I can't remember exactly what number it was, but then the buzzer came out, then the Big Show's music. How many people remember this? All the fans from the UK, who, because this was back when the WWF was on Channel 4. Channel 4 had gotten into the TV deals in 2000, and we broadcast Sunday Night Heat, and then 4 pay-per-views a year. One of these pay-per-views was the Royal Rumble, and the thing about Channel 4, it's a network, it's a terrestrial network channel, so it would require to have ad breaks. So what happened? I remember this vividly. I remember the Big Show's music hits, and then Channel 4 cuts to an advert break. I was like, what the fuck? But tell me how many people remember that? Or how many people even remember WWF being on Channel 4 at all? I mean, that could be a whole topic in itself someday. God, that was terrible. So now the Big Show's back in the WWF after a little bit of a hiatus. Looking a bit better shape. Honestly, looking at him, he didn't really look significantly better than when he left in 2000, to be honest with you. He kind of didn't look that different at all. But I guess they didn't want to be in OVW for too long because they were paying him a shed load of money. So they bring him back to the company. And his Royal Rumble appearance in 2001 was brief but very impactful. So Big Show comes in, does the whole dominant giant spot where he starts knocking everybody down. I think he chokeslammed everybody in the ring. There was about 7 or 8 guys in the ring at the time. The last 2 guys are Kane and The Rock. Chokeslams Kane. And then he's going to get The Rock next. He's going to chokeslam The Rock, but then The Rock hits a low blow, hits him a few times, and then eliminates him. So, Big Show's appearance was brief, but like I said, impactful. And it was a good way to reintroduce him so he didn't have to come back and have a full match, so you could try and build him back up again. Then, but the Big Show got some heat back. After being eliminated by The Rock, he drags The Rock out of the ring, chokeslams The Rock through the announce table. So yeah, he was brief and impactful, but he got eliminated. But WWE was smart enough to give him some of his heat back. So good stuff and a really memorable surprise entrance for me. Coming in at number 3, and a surprise entrance I feel has kind of got forgotten about over the years. When I see people talking about great surprise rumble entrances, I don't see this one come up enough, and that for me is Mick Foley in 2004. So again, the Royal Rumble 2004 is a Royal Rumble that WWE wants you to forget because that's famously the one that Chris Benoit won from the number 1 position. But looking back objectively, that was a fantastic Royal Rumble, and this moment here was just a small reason why. So there's a great story behind this one. So Mick Foley comes back to the WWE in June of 2003 after being away for a while. At this point, he'd been retired from in-ring competition since 2000, had his last match at WrestleMania 2000. And I think when he came back, it had been for 3 years at this point. So I think at this point, because wrestling retirements, let's be honest, wrestling retirements is usually the biggest work of all. But how many wrestling retirements really stick? Very rare that they do. I mean, Stone Cold Steve Austin stuck. Shawn Michaels stuck it out for 8 years, and now it looks like in 2020, Edge is probably coming back this year, which we will talk about later on this week, don't worry. But I think by all accounts that's happening. I think I'm 95% sure Edge is coming back out of retirement. So we were all wondering, could Mick Foley come back and maybe have a match at WrestleMania next year or something like that? And the plans were, I think Mick Foley decided he was going to come back, but he didn't want to come back and just wrestle someone like a Triple H or a Ric Flair or an Undertaker or someone like that. Mick Foley wanted to make somebody, because that's what a lot of things Mick Foley did in his career. I mean, Mick Foley had a huge hand to helping The Rock get over. He had an even bigger hand to helping Triple H get over. So that's what he wanted to do. And then there was this young man on the roster, guy that had a lot of talent and a lot of expectation behind him. A third-generation superstar by the name of Randy Orton. That's right. That's how long Randy Orton's been in the WWE roster. We're going back to 2003 to talk about this. And here we are, all these years later, Randy Orton's still there in a good position. And he's not even 40 yet. That's how long he's been around. That's how young he was, and that's how long he's been around. Randy Orton's only turning 40 this year. But, yeah, well, obviously at the time he was seen as maybe WWE's hottest prospect. I mean, Brock Lesnar had already been a main event guy. I mean, look, if you say in 2003, I would have sworn Randy Orton would have been a bigger star than John Cena. Because Randy Orton seemed to have it all. And he did make it, but not on the same level as John Cena. And at the time, no, he wasn't Intercontinental Champion yet. He wasn't Evolution though. Evolution had just started like a few months earlier, so looks like Randy Orton was going places. So seeds for this were planted back in a couple of weeks after Bad Blood. They had a Raw in Madison Square Garden. I believe that was the same Raw that Kane unmasked in the world title match against Triple H. So they had a Mick Foley appreciation night and all that, which was cool. It was nice to see a guy like Mick Foley honoured. And then they did a thing later on where Randy Orton attacked Mick Foley backstage and kicked him down the staircase in Madison Square Garden. That looked really awesome, actually, and my God, that looked like that hurt so much. I mean, Mick Foley really went for that and fell down. I mean, if anyone's fallen down the stairs before, you know how much that bloody hurts. Then after that, so Mick Foley was gone from television for a while, but over for a little bit, Randy Orton was calling himself the new hardcore legend and all that, and then started doing the legend killer thing, and that was such a cool gimmick. I really honestly thought that was a really awesome gimmick and a really great way to get Randy Orton at that early stage of his career. And then as the months went on, Orton was starting to go from strength to strength. Then Mick Foley comes back to television after Survivor Series to be Stone Cold's replacement as a co-Raw general manager. So Austin had been wink wink fired. Survivor Series, Mick Foley took his place, and then the next few weeks, him and Orton were building the rivalry up even a little bit more, and then Orton becomes the Intercontinental Champion. And then the night after Armageddon, this was I thought this was absolutely fantastic booking, by the way. I really do think that. It got to the point where they got in a heated argument, and then Mick Foley challenged Randy Orton one-on-one that night. So it was like, wow, Mick Foley's coming out of retirement, and he's doing it tonight on Raw to face Randy Orton. So this is a big hook for the fans who were advertising this all the way at the end. So then the main event of the show is going to be Mick Foley versus Randy Orton one-on-one. Randy Orton comes out first. Mick Foley comes out. Then he gets to the ring. Then he stops. Then he hesitates. Then he walks away. So the story was Mick Foley realised, shit, what have I done? Mick Foley got emotional, challenged Randy Orton, but realised he was totally unprepared, totally over his head to come back after all this time to face a guy at the top of his game like Randy Orton. So it was a classic switch and bait, granted. And imagine if this happened today. Oh god, I can just imagine the annoying Twitter outrage that would happen if this happened today. Jesus Christ. But it was building to a story, and it was an awesome story. So Randy Orton chases Mick Foley up to his car, calling him a coward. And then Randy Orton spits in Mick Foley's face. Is Mick Foley going to retaliate? No, Mick Foley gets in his car and walks away. So, wow, this was really big stuff. And then over the next few weeks, Randy Orton was trying to goad Mick Foley into coming back to face him, calling him a coward repeatedly. And this eventually led to Randy Orton buying a seat in the front row and inviting Mick Foley to come to the 2004 Royal Rumble. Foley didn't respond, so was Mick Foley a coward or was he not? And the seat was there. Mick Foley wasn't there for the start of the show. Then every so often during the show they point at the seat and point out that Mick Foley wasn't there. Then the Rumble match was about to start and still no Mick Foley, and Taz was kind of trying to go JR, goes, you know what JR, you said if Mick Foley didn't come here tonight then Mick Foley's a coward. And JR's like, this time is like, come on, the match is about to start. And then JR very reluctantly calls Mick Foley a coward, so it looks like Randy Orton would. Mick Foley's not going to show up. Randy Orton's a number 2 guy now with Chris Benoit. So then we get through all these entrants, and then we get number 21. Number 21 is going to be Test. Test's music hits, but no Test. What the hell's going on here? Now, this has happened a few times in Royal Rumble history where the buzzer goes and then someone doesn't come out for whatever reason. So why was Test not coming out? There's his music. It's what's happened to Test? Then we go backstage. We see the Test being laid out by somebody. And I guess they picked Test because he thought, I guess it was just random. They picked Test to be the fall guy here. Or maybe Test was injured. I can't remember. Then Stone Cold Steve Austin, who's now... Oh, he was back, by the way, after being fired. Now he's Sheriff Austin, apparently. But whatever. So Austin's firing from GM lasted about 6 weeks. And then he was arguing with this guy, saying, what the hell are you doing? That's my number 1 entry. Then he goes, you're number 21. You're number 21. Now get your ass to the ring. So it was like, oh, who is this? Who's coming out? And then Mick Foley's music hits. Awesome pop from the Philadelphia crowd. Fans went absolutely nuts for this one. Randy Orton, I've got to give Randy Orton as well. He sold this as he crapped himself. He couldn't believe what was happening. So technically, this was Mick Foley's first match since 2000. I mean, it was a Royal Rumble, so I guess it counts. It was, in fact, Mick Foley's coming out of retirement for this one. So awesome pop. Mick Foley comes out, beats the crap out of Randy Orton. This is actually one of the hottest parts of the entire Royal Rumble. Or because this gets forgotten about a bit, because I think this is like the Chris Benoit Royal Rumble. Orton and Mick Foley brawl. Mick Foley does the old classic cactus clothesline over the top rope, eliminates Randy Orton himself, because Mick Foley didn't really have any intention to win this Royal Rumble. He just wanted to take Randy Orton out. Then outside the ring, they had another bit of a brawl for like maybe a couple of minutes, and they did a great job of setting up the Mick Foley Randy Orton feud going forward. I actually love this surprise return. It was absolutely brilliant, and it's definitely worthy of being on this list. Coming in number 2, and this is going to be on, I would imagine this will be on everybody's list somewhere. Some people might even have it number 1, and that's AJ Styles 2016 Royal Rumble. So I'll spoil it. This is the most recent entry on this list. And so I think in the last 5 years, it easily stands out as the best surprise day entrance slash debut slash whatever. So yeah, like I said in the intro, I'm counting this one because AJ Styles were not specifically advertised for this match. Although the majority of us probably realised he was going to be there because it was rumoured all over the internet that he'd signed with WWE. And this is probably how he was going to debut at the Royal Rumble because it just made sense really, didn't it? So this goes back at early 2016. AJ Styles at this point, he'd been in TNA for like 10 years, and I think I've talked about this in other videos, so I don't want to go into too much detail about it. So at the end of 2013, going into 2014, AJ Styles' contract was coming up. Him and TNA could not come to an agreement, because I think basically what happened was the TNA lowballed him, because at the time TNA had lost a lot of money over the last few years, especially with like Hogan and Bischoff and all these big names coming in, and then just for various reasons, TNA had financial difficulties. Then AJ Styles contract coming up, so I think basically they offered him a pay cut, and a quite significant pay cut of that. Then AJ Styles at this point, he's got a wife, he's got kids, he's built a career. Sure, he wants to stay loyal to TNA, but why should he take a pay cut for? Especially when AJ's wasn't exactly one of the highest paid guys or anything like that. He wasn't on a Jeff Hardy level or a Hulk Hogan or a Sting level or anything like that. So AJ Styles, I don't blame him. He didn't take a deal. Him and TNA could not come to an agreement. So after all these years, AJ Styles leaves TNA, but he doesn't go to WWE right away. He reinvents his career in New Japan Pro Wrestling, debuting there in 2014 and having a tremendous run. Absolutely epic run. For me, one of my favourite runs of AJ Styles' entire career, maybe even the favourite, quite frankly. It was that good. So for 2 years, then he became the Bullet Club leader after Finn Balor left for WWE. The 2-time IWGP Heavyweight Champion, beating both Okada and Tanahashi to win the title. Not sure how many people can say that. Off the top of my head, I think you might be the only person who would say that, to be honest with you. To win the IWGP title from Okada and Tanahashi, yeah, I don't think that's been done before. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. No, I don't think I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, someone correct me on that one, but I don't think I am. So then I had all these awesome matches. But the thing about being in New Japan, it was kind of tough for his home life. So, because AJ Styles, he was logically thinking, because I think he said this, like, if something happened to my wife in a car accident or something, or one of my kids took bad and I was in Japan and I couldn't get there right away, it was going to be hard. It would be hard on him. And I think Carl Anderson has also said working in Japan was having trouble in his home life, because Japan, America, it's the other side of the world, so it's hard to like get there. Whereas if you work in America, to be able to get there a little bit easier. So AJ's contract was coming up in early 2016. So AJ Styles decided he wanted to get out of Japan and start working back in the USA full time. And he had his last big match in New Japan at Wrestle Kingdom 10, getting beat off Shinsuke Nakamura in a classic. Then obviously the next night in New Year's Dash, was kicked out of the Bullet Club. Kenny Omega took over. So then, what people don't remember, for about 3 weeks, AJ Styles was wrestling independently. So for Wrestle Kingdom, Royal Rumble was about a 3-week period. And in that time, AJ Styles had wrestled a few indies. Most noticeably, even wrestled Rey Mysterio in England around this time. I think it was for 5-Star Wrestling, I believe the company was. Believe that's right. But news broke shortly after Wrestle Kingdom that AJ Styles had signed with the WWE and was coming in soon. And unlike 95% of signings WWE makes, AJ Styles wasn't going to go to NXT like nearly everybody does. AJ Styles was going to bypass NXT and go straight to the main roster. I think the reason for that was AJ Styles was in his late 30s. I think WWE had to pay top dollar to get him, so I think they were paying superstar money to get AJ Styles. they're going to get him on the main roster. So for me, I think it worked out perfectly for AJ not going to WWE right after TNA, going to New Japan, building his reputation up even more, and then as he was getting to the peak of his career, 2016, he goes to WWE, and then let's face it, no pun intended, had an absolutely phenomenal run. I mean, he's one of those rare cases where WWE bought a star from elsewhere, brought him in, and then just made him a bigger star. I mean, a lot of times WWE will bury a rival star or try to change him and mould him into Vince McMahon's vision, but they just let AJ Styles be AJ Styles, and let's be honest, had a phenomenal run. No pun intended, of course. So here we are, Royal Rumble's coming up in January. This was in Orlando, Florida. It was for the WWE Championship. And I literally just watched this Royal Rumble match yesterday, actually. Roman Reigns was defending this title. He was the number 1 entry, eliminates Rusev. Then number 3 comes out. Then we hear the, yep. You know that music he has. Because obviously we can't see it because the showing Roman Reigns' reactions. But the Titantron says, I am, then phenomenal. So the crowd pops crazy. Then they're like, no, could it be? Then our camera pans to it. It's AJ Styles with his hood over his face. Then he does the whole thing where he pulls his hood up and does the pose. And yes, AJ Styles is here in WWE. I think that's one of AJ's concerns was the fans going to pop for him, because let's face it, a lot of WWE fans just watch WWE. They don't really care about New Japan or Impact or nowadays AEW or Ring of Honor or whatever. So how many of these fan bases are actually going to know AJ Styles? I think they got lucky in the sense it was in Orlando, which is where TNA shot for so many years. So they got that. And he got a superstar's reaction, and he got to have a really strong show in the Royal Rumble. Lasted about 25 minutes. Only was eliminated by Kevin Owens later on in the match. So a great debut / surprise entrance. And probably one of the most famous in Royal Rumble history as well. Coming at number 1, for me, the greatest surprise entrance in the history of the Royal Rumble. And I don't care what anyone says, I totally believe this. And that is John Cena, Royal Rumble 2008. For a pure surprise factor, this has to be number 1. Has to be, because nobody was expecting this. I mean, other ones, like I said, like AJ, like Edge didn't make the list. I think enough people expected it. But this one was well and truly a massive surprise. I don't think anyone saw this coming. So, basically, I've told this before, so I don't want to go into too much detail again. So, I think it was October 2007. John Cena goes down for pectoral injury. He was a WWE champion at the time, and he was in the midst of his longest title reign ever. I mean, at this point, John Cena was well established as the man in WWE. I mean, the last 2.5 years, WWE built him that way. So Cena was the guy at this point. Cena has a match with Mr. Kennedy, tears his pectoral. What an awful time to do it as well. Just as a few guys are coming back, because 2007 was an injury-ravaged year. It really was. I mean, check this out. At one point or another, the following guys are out of action: Triple H, Rey Mysterio, The Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Edge, and now John Cena. That's 6 top guys that were out. I mean, as far as top guys, the only guys that were really consistent all year was Batista and Randy Orton. Then obviously, at the same time, a few guys that were suspended for drug issues, such as Umaga, Mr. Kennedy, people like that. So overall, a bad year, and then this was a horrible time for Cena to get injured. So Cena vacated WWE Championship, but it looks like the prognosis, because he tore his fucking pectoral muscle off the bone, so this is no pussy injury, this is a really bad injury. So the prognosis was Cena would be out for 7 to 12 months, meaning it wasn't even in the conversation for Royal Rumble 2008. And if he took the right amount of time off, this would have put Cena at the earliest, just after WrestleMania. So looked like Cena was missing WrestleMania 24 as well. So what were they going to do? So we're going to 2008 Royal Rumble. Randy Orton's now the WWE Champion. And for me, Triple H was a clear favourite to win that Royal Rumble. Looked like Triple H versus Randy Orton. Probably the big match for the Raw that year at WrestleMania. As you think Undertaker was probably going to face Edge, so Undertaker could have conceivably won it. You had Batista in there, Shawn Michaels. So really, Triple H or the Undertaker were the only conceivable ones to win. And then when Undertaker gets eliminated about a third of the way through the match because he was number one, Triple H comes in at number 29 and goes, alright, this is the winner right here. Triple H is going to win this thing. Triple H does a few big spots, and then number 30 hits, and what? Cause my reaction time was like, what? What the fuck? John Cena? John Cena's music hits like, what? It can't be John Cena, right? Can it? Well, it bloody was John Cena. So, and to this day, I have no idea how the hell he pulled this off. He recovered from a torn pec, kept his bodybuilder physique, and came back to ring in 3 months. Like, just over 3 months. Like, how the hell's he done that now? Over the years, John Cena would repeat this feat a few times. He get injured. You think he's going to be out for a long time, but he comes back. He did it in 2013. He did it in 2016, coming back pretty early from a rotator cuff surgery. My God, this guy's a genetic freak. He really is. I mean, say what you want about John Cena, the guy is tough as hell and a genetic freak. So he comes back, and I think the most hilarious thing about this thing as well, the fans are popping and going absolutely mental for John Cena. It's like a thunderous ovation, and then it hits the crowd. Wait a minute, we're cheering for John Cena. Boo! Yeah, boo. That's right. We're gonna boo Cena now. We forgot we're supposed to boo Cena. So then they go right back to booing him. So what I love about Triple H's reaction is like, what are you doing here? Like, literally, what are you doing here? What the hell are you doing? So, awesome reaction from Triple H. Cena eliminates a few guys. Then it gets down to John Cena and Triple H, the final two. And then John Cena goes on to win the 2008 Royal Rumble. Easily, like I said, easily the most surprising entrant in the history of the Royal Rumble. I mean, if you're watching this at the time, and you never, don't lie, you never saw John Cena win it coming. It was really a shocking moment. And for me, I think this is one of the greatest Rumble match moments in history. Like John Cena or hate John Cena, I mean, you got to give him the devil his due here. It was a great moment and a huge surprise. And then that's a wrap, guys. So thanks for watching this one. So later this week, I'm probably going to do Rumble 2020 previews as predictions. If I've got time, I'll do in audio form. If I don't, it'll be a slide one. But I'm hoping to get it out in audio this week. I'd rather do it in audio. So hopefully we're going to get that done. Then, of course, obviously, the Rumble review that'll be coming next week. Although I've decided I am going to do the When Worlds Collide one as well. Because to be honest, I wasn't really interested in doing that. But then I've seen the card and I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to sit and watch this live, aren't I? Because this is going to be really good. And then next week, I'm going to pick back up on WWE reviews. I left off, I need to start off. So for my account, I've got the following pay-per-views to review. And I'm going to try and do them all in one thing. So I'm going to try and get these done within a month's time. So I've got Over the Limit 2012, No Way Out 2012, Battleground 2017, Super Showdown 2018. I'll do it, but I'll probably suffer for the art here. Crown Jewel 2019. I'll do it, guys. Don't worry. Super Showdown 2019. And then Stomping Grounds 2019. So I've got 7 WWE pay-per-views to review before I complete the set. Then obviously after that, just whatever after that. So like I say, guys, thanks for watching. And until next time, peace.